All right, well, you know the stuff that Donald Trump has been saying about the Chinese, that they take advantage of us. If not for us, they wouldn't be in the position they're in, on that we've got to get on offense and quit playing them like defense. Well, that doesn't go down well in China. China's a finance minister, for example, calling a lot of Mr. Trump's remarks silly. Wouldn't be entitled to world leadership, he says, the United States, if any of Trump's proposals were followed up. Almost any across-the-board tariff increase would violate U.S. obligations under the WTO. Not only do they say that, but a number of trade economists say that, because any tariffs that Mr. Trump would propose would essentially be paid by U.S. consumers. Charles Payne on that and the prospect of a President Trump when it comes to dealing with the Chinese. What do you think?
Well, I like the tough talk. The saber rattling is good. If we ever had to go to 45%, though, I don't think the average American, particularly the average Trump voter, understands the kind of pain that Americans would be in. I'm not saying we can't win, but it would be sort of a victory. Have you ever seen Google pictures of Aleppo right now? It would be that kind of a victory, you know.
But he says he could get the American people on board, not necessarily with the tariff thing. The idea of saying you can do better with other goods to make a statement to the Chinese, we're not going to deal with this nonsense anymore.
Yeah, you can, but one of the things that we talk about is how our wages have stagnated. So, you know, it's just like when Ford announced they were moving their car factory, this next car factory to Mexico. I looked it up, and there are at least 10 other car manufacturers who in the last year said they're going to open a car factory there. So what I want to ask the average American is, hey, if Ford doesn't move this plant there to Mexico, will you be willing to pay an extra $1,500 to $2,000 for a car? Would you make that pledge to Ford for being patriotic and not being competitive with their rivals? Because that's what you're going to have to do. That's what people are going to have to do.
Trump has come back and said China will learn to deal fairly and justly, or we will not deal at all. In other words, time for some very tough negotiating love.
There is always time for tough negotiations with China.
But he's saying it, look, they need us more than we need them.
They probably do, but we both need each other to a degree. And that's his whole thing. It's a symbiotic global relationship. And we're going to put up borders all around the country and only deal within our country. Then we're talking 6% of the population, not selling products to the rest of the world. So 300 million versus 5 billion people. That's a tough proposition for small businesses, certainly large businesses that drive people's retirement accounts. So if you've got Caterpillar or IBM in your retirement account, you can kiss that bad boy goodbye, because that's where they're making all their profits. Same thing with Apple and so forth. It's a delicate situation. We have not played well with them. I think they have gotten the better of us. But, and again, I tell people we could win. But what does victory look like? You need to understand the real collateral damage of a true trade war that involves 45% tariffs. It is ugly. It's millions of jobs lost. And yes, we may come out of it better than China, but will either one of us be a winner? Yeah,
and like you said, when you stick to your guns, you're going outside here. It's the same thing with a $15 minimum wage. Would you pay more for an item to stand by your principles?
Right, right. And I tell you, I don't know that we can even afford to. And I'm not talking about paying more for TV sets. I'm talking about really jobs lost. By the way, I wrote about this morning, and you know, but from the farming perspective.
Right.
Last month, China's commodities demand were up huge, including soybeans, up 36%. Our soybean market has doubled in the last 10 years because of China. So, again,
the demand for our stuff.
Yeah, that we sell there. Now, keep in mind, this year, we're going to subsidize farmers almost $14 billion. I went back. I couldn't find a number that high. It's up 34% from last year. So if farmers can't sell this stuff to foreigners, particularly China, then we're going to have to pay them even more money. It's going to come out of taxpayers' money in a lot of pockets in a lot of different ways that are very complicated. I say we push the issue. I say we get better deals. But the notion of a massive trade war, I just want people to know, maybe we'll win, but winning is going to be ugly and painful.
His idea is the threat is good enough to change the behavior.
No, I don't think so. Not with China. I don't think so with China. Yeah.
Okay, thanks,
maybe with Guam, but not with China.
Yeah, Guam, we could get them to fold like a cheap suit. All right, thank you very, very much.